I remember a season after my divorce when I was doing everything, working, hustling. I had my business going. I was just staying busy from the moment I woke up until the end of the day. And I found myself, even in those moments, doing so many things. I was literally just so focused on revenue, on paying bills, on regaining everything, that was lost, trying to cram it all into this specific moment. I was calling it rebuilding. And I want to challenge that today because it was actually running. And there's a massive difference between the two. There's a massive difference when I hear dads that'll come in our school group and they'll talk about how they clean the kitchen 7 times because they like it organized, or they're doing things that they're not related to the actual growth of your life. And I was doing the exact same thing. I was starting projects. I was exploring a lot of these channels to stay busy, but I'm going to give you some of this trap language today. I'm going to give you some of these metaphors today. And at the end, I believe there's going to be something for you that is going to absolutely transform your life that you can use today, not something for tomorrow, today. Transformation begins right now. If you're listening to this and it's been helpful in any way, just a couple clicks will help another dad just like you find this podcast, find transformation, and change their legacy, not just for them, but for their kids. Simply subscribe. I know there's hundreds of you that have yet to subscribe. Drop a sub, drop a comment, drop a question. All of those little things tells these podcast places that dads need help. And I believe just by doing that, you're going to impact 5, 10, dozens of dads. Just with that, man. I just want to say thank you in advance for that. We will transform a million dads, and I cannot do it on my own. So thank you in advance. Let's jump into this trap. All right. Busyness is the most socially acceptable form of avoidance. How about it? Especially those of you that are go-getters, type A leaders. You're used to it, man. You're used to the grind, the hustle, all of those things. And nobody questions the man who's always working. Nobody's questioning that man. He's busy, he's doing a lot of things. And guys ask you how you're doing, right? I'd have so many people in that season ask me, hey, bro, how are you? Whew, what a loaded question. And you have to understand why your words matter so much when somebody asks you that question. You know that scriptures will say the power of life and death is in the words, and those who will love it will eat its fruit. Out of the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks. That is a moment where you will get squeezed, and what will come out of you is ultimately what you believe. I say that your words are the architect of your future. I know every single dad wants to build a skyscraper for their life, an incredible place. However, your words are the architect that do that. And your heart is something that has to be guarded so that you're not just a a self prophecy of doom and gloom. Your words. So nobody's questioning you about all your busyness. Nobody's challenging the dad who's grinding. Oh, great job. You're staying busy. You're hustling. And you know what? 95 did a poll recently. 95% of dads that I just polled are doing it alone. So you got it bottled up. You're not being challenged. No one's really digging into the deep centers of your life. If they are, man, awesome. But I don't believe that's why you're here. And so other things happen. The brain, you have to know, and I say this almost every episode, your brain under chronic stress, it defaults to high activity, low output behavior, meaning it's wanting you to do something and it's telling you that if you do more, it's going to be better. And it wasn't until I had a coach in my life that challenged every action that I was doing. And they would say, does that line up to where you want to go? And why? Why does that? Why is that? Why are you taking that path? Some of those paths you're taking are good. Some of those paths are draining your energy. and your energy is finite. You don't get unlimited energy. You don't just, like Mario, grab a little mushroom and get more energy. It doesn't work like that. And so you've got to be protective of those things. You got to protect your brain. You've got to protect your sleep. We'll drop down to another one. You feel productive, but you're actually just managing anxiety. And that's how you do it. That's how guys do it. You know, they don't talk it out. They'll work it out. You know, I've had guys that come in and they tell me that, I'm at the gym a couple times a day. And I say, that's great. And then a few weeks later, they tell me, oh, I got hurt at the gym and now I can't go to the gym. And now I'm stuck with my thoughts and I haven't been able to figure that out. Researchers call this activity, this busyness, they call it active avoidance. The brain stays in motion to avoid processing what it's actually afraid of. Guys, I cannot tell you how true that is. My fears was failure. My fears was not having it enough. My fears was not providing for my kids and not giving them those experiences. And that was driving everything for me. I've said recently there's been these 3 a.m. wake up calls, and those 3 a.m. wake up calls were terrors of the future. But I want to give you a little metaphor for today. This is going to be a long one. A little metaphor to consider what this busyness actually looks like. Just something simple. I want you to imagine a treadmill, and we've all probably been on treadmills, right? You get on the treadmill, you get in there, you pop in, your speed and your, how high you want to go, and you hit go, right? And you can run hard, and you sweat, and you push, and you hit 8, 9, 10, 12, maybe 15 miles an hour. Maybe you go crazy and get it higher, and it feels like real work. It feels like you're crushing it. I've had many times where I was in seasons of running, and gosh, that was like, I got it in, man. I'm pumped. I got music going. It's rolling. However, catch this. That is what busyness looks like without direction. It's maximum effort, zero movement. When you get off that treadmill, you are still in the same place. You have actually never gone anywhere. You've been in the weight room, or you've been in the gym, or you've been at your house. You haven't gone anywhere. You haven't left. You've just been running on a treadmill and just draining energy. Maximum effort, zero movement. The treadmill, it feels productive, but it's not taking you anywhere. And that's where most divorced dads are living right now. And that's what they know to do. Do more, do more, do more. Add this, add this, add this, add this. And I want to challenge that. I'm challenging that today because although you're doing a lot, I would drill down on what really matters. In our school group, I mentioned every guy to start. What's the vision? What do you want to see happen in your life? Is it clear? How clear is it? How specific is it? Because if it's not, then you're just going to be running and running and running and running, and you're going to be exhausted. And I know it because I've been there. And I know it, those of you that are intelligent and you've got ChatGPT or whatever LLM you're using, it will give you a lot of great plans, but it will not drill down many times into the real fear of what's going on. And it will not hold you accountable to say, this matters because of my children. This matters because of my life. This matters because of my calling. This matters because this is what I was built to do. I'm going to give you a tool today of why this can change, how this can change, and what you can do today. Something simple, something profound, that when you begin to do it consistently, your life transforms. I had this analogy the other week about Jocko talking about working out. And you guys have all been there when you haven't worked out in a while and you start working out the first couple days and you feel great. You're sore, but there's no real transformation. Probably didn't lose much weight or didn't get that six pack, or maybe a week goes by, maybe 2 weeks, maybe you're seeing a little bit of difference. But 100 days, 100 days of doing it every day, 100 days of consistency. I would say 100 days of a tool like this, but we start with 1 day. 1 day. And there's a great little quote on that where, you get into it and you look at yourself and you say, is it going to be one day that I start this journey, or is it going to be day one today that I start this journey? One day or day one? And that's up to you, because the pain to stay the same has got to be a knowing about the pain of change. If you want to change, you got to change. Here's the tool. We're going to call this the Direction Audit. And it's just 3 questions. It's 5 minutes. It's simple. Question number 1, dig into this, get a notepad or whatever, put it in your mind. What are you actually going? Where are you actually going in the next 90 days? Where are you going? Not in general, specifically as a father, as a provider, as a man. If you can't answer that in one sentence, you don't have direction. You just don't. You have a treadmill. You have something that you're getting on and it's just wearing you out. Where do you want to go in the next 90 days? Question number 2, is what you did today moving you toward that or away from it? Not busy, moving. There's a difference. Not busy, moving. That's question number 2. And question number 3 is this: what are you avoiding by staying busy? And this is a hard one. This is the real nuts and bolts of what's going on. What are you really avoiding by staying busy? And sit with it. And the answer is almost always the thing they need to do most. That's the reality of it. What is that fear? What is that avoidance? What is that intelligent lie? What does it look like? And I'm going to give you a scripture here to hinge on too, and then we'll wrap this up. Proverbs 29:18 says, where there's no vision, the people perish. In another version, it says, where there's no vision, people lack restraint, which that word means they lack discipline, which is why I love what Jocko says, and it mirrors this verse so closely, because discipline equals freedom. Where you don't have discipline, you won't have a vision. Because when you don't know where you want to go and what you want, then everything can come into play and everything looks shiny. There was a group, we had a call in our school group, and there was a guy that had a whole list of things that he needed to do. And at the end of the time, him and I were talking, we pared it down to 3 simple things that were actually going to move the needle in all of these areas. Because most men, they don't read this as this verse. They don't read this verse as a leadership verse. It is a leadership verse. It will define you, and it also will cut out the things that don't need to be there. The time wasted, the scrolling, the numbing, the worrying, all of these things. Because after divorce, this is a survival verse. This is a real life verse. And without direction, you don't just drift. You got to catch this. You deteriorate. If you're not going up, you're going down. There's no middle ground. If you're not moving in the direction that you want to go, you're moving in another way. That's not where you want to go. The busyness isn't the problem. It's the lack of vision in this area, the lack of clarity that you need to have for this. And I'll leave this for you guys, because builders don't just work hard. Builders build towards something. Drifters, there's a difference. They stay busy to avoid the question of where they're going. You already know which one you are. The question really is, which one are you choosing to be starting today? Which one do you really want to be? And you know what? If this is something to sit with, guys. I mean this. I love you. I'm with you. I want you to have real, hardcore answers and truth, because that is the only way forward. And most guys are not getting it. And most guys are not hearing it. And that's why when I put out questions and say, how many of you are doing this alone? 95% are saying, I am. I'm doing it alone. So if this episode hit you in any way, share it with just a dad. Comment, sub. One dad in your life who's grinding but maybe going nowhere. A couple of clicks, I'm telling you, it'll give them hope. And that matters more than you know. Even though you're in the midst of it, you still can help other people. So I'm going to say, follow, give a sub, drop a comment, drop a question if you're on Spotify. All of them I'm answering. All of them are here for you. If you're not in our school, brother, if you're not in our school group, jump in. Get some systems, get some guys who are in this with you, get some people like myself that are already on the other side to show you the way, to give you the hard truths. And those of you in particular that are looking for accelerated growth and want to apply to work with me, let me know. Reach out and check out Divorce Dads of America on Instagram. Every single day, you will get something that is going to lead you into the right path of where to go. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next one. God bless you.